They say you never truly know someone until they think you're gone forever. I learned this the hard way when I woke from death itself, only to discover my own son had already buried me.
The first sensation wasn't pain, it was abandonment. My eyes fluttered open to harsh fluorescent lights that stabbed through my skull like needles. The steady beep of machines felt like hammers against my temples. I was William Bennett, 64 years old, and I was supposed to be dead. At least, that's what everyone believed. Mr. Bennett! A nurse's gasp shattered the sterile silence. Her badge read Patricia, and tears actually welled in her eyes. It's impossible. You've been in a coma for 3 months. 3 months. The words echoed in my hollow chest. 3 months of my life stolen by twisted metal and shattered glass on Route 47. I remembered the 18-wheeler coming at me, remembered thinking of Andrew, my only son, in what I thought were my final moments. My family, I croaked, my throat raw as sandpaper. Where's Andrew? Where's my son? Patricia's smile faltered, and she busied herself with my IV line. That small gesture, that moment of avoidance, told me everything. In 3 months, not once had my son sat by my bedside. Not once had Victoria, his wife, pretended to care. They've been informed, she said carefully. Too carefully. The doctor will explain everything. But I didn't need explanations. I needed answers. My construction empire, Bennett Industries, built from nothing with these 2 hands, who was running it? My house on Willow Creek Drive, where Andrew took his first steps, who was maintaining it? Dr. Harrison arrived, all practiced sympathy and medical jargon, but I barely heard him. My mind was calculating, remembering Andrew's recent financial troubles, Victoria's hungry eyes when she'd toured our latest development project. I need a phone, I demanded, struggling to sit up despite the fire in my ribs. Mr. Bennett, you need rest. I need to call my son. They brought me a phone, but Andrew's number went straight to voicemail. So did Victoria's. So did my office line. It was as if I had been erased, deleted from my own existence. Patricia returned with a newspaper, and my blood turned to ice. There, on page 3, was an announcement for a memorial service. My memorial service. Tomorrow at St. Catherine's Church. In loving memory of William James Bennett, devoted father and successful businessman, survived by his son Andrew and daughter-in-law Victoria. My hands trembled as I read the date. Tomorrow. They were burying me tomorrow, while I lay here, breathing, fighting, very much alive. Get me my clothes, I told Patricia, my voice stronger now, fueled by a rage I'd never felt before. I'm checking out. But Mr. Bennett, you're not strong enough. I looked her dead in the eye. I was strong enough to survive what should have killed me. I'm strong enough to face whatever comes next. Before we continue this heartbreaking journey of betrayal and redemption, I need to ask you something. If you've ever felt abandoned by someone you loved, if you've ever been betrayed by family, then you understand William's pain. Please, take just 1 second to subscribe to our channel. These stories need to be heard, and without your support, voices like William's might never reach those who need to hear them most. Don't scroll away. Not yet. The taxi driver kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror as we drove through Millbrook's familiar streets. Spring had painted everything in deceptive beauty, cherry blossoms mocking my grief, sunshine illuminating my betrayal. "You okay back there, sir?" he asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I am the ghost," I muttered, watching my neighborhood pass by. My house, our family home for 30 years, looked abandoned. The lawn I'd meticulously maintained was overgrown with weeds. Mail overflowed from the box. But Andrew's BMW sat in the driveway, polished and gleaming. He'd found time for the car, just not for his father. "Stop here," I told the driver, a block from St. Catherine's. The church bells were already tolling, deep, mournful sounds that should have been for me, would have been if Andrew and Victoria had their way. I could see people filing in, dressed in black, carrying flowers. My employees, my friends, my life, all gathering to mourn a lie. I stood at the church doors, my hospital discharge papers still in my pocket, and listened. Through the wood I heard Andrew's voice, strong and clear. "My father was a complicated man. He built his empire from nothing, always putting business first. Perhaps if he'd been home more, if he'd been less demanding." The words cut deeper than any blade. He was rewriting history, painting me as the absent father while he played the neglected son. The same son I'd bailed out of debt 4 times. The same son I'd given a position at my company despite his lack of qualification. Then Victoria's voice, dripping with false tears. "William was preparing to retire, to finally pass the torch to Andrew. He'd even started the paperwork before the accident. We're just honoring his wishes." Lies. All lies. I pushed open the doors. The hinges shrieked like accusations, and 300 heads turned in unison. The silence that followed was deafening. Someone's hymnal hit the floor with a thunderous slam. "Sorry I'm late to my own funeral, though it seems you started without me." Margaret Chen, my secretary of 20 years, actually screamed. Tom Bradley from the Rotary Club stumbled backward into a pew. But my eyes were locked on Andrew and Victoria at the altar. My son's face went red to white to green in the span of 3 seconds. Victoria's hand flew to her chest, her pearl necklace, my late mother's pearl necklace, catching the light. "Dad?" Andrew's voice cracked like a teenager's. But you were dead?" I stepped forward, each footfall echoing. 3 months, I announced to the room. 3 months in a coma, and not one visit. But you managed to plan quite the service. Even got my favorite flowers. I gestured to the white roses. "Though you forgot, I'm allergic to roses. Your mother loved them, not me." Victoria stood, her designer dress rustling. "William, you're clearly unwell. The accident." "The accident didn't kill me, Victoria, but this betrayal might." Thomas Reed's law office hadn't changed in 20 years. Same dusty books, same coffee-stained desk, same loyal friendship. But the documents he spread before me were new, and they reeked of forgery. "They filed your death certificate 6 weeks ago," Thomas said, sliding the paper toward me. My own death, officially stamped and sealed. "William, they've been liquidating everything. The company's set to be sold to Morrison Development next week." Morrison Development, our biggest competitor, the vultures Andrew had invited to feast on my life's work. $40 million, Thomas continued. "That's what they're selling Bennett Industries for. $40 million for a company worth 3 times that." My hands shook as I signed the injunction papers. Each signature felt like reclaiming a piece of my soul. Outside Thomas's window, Millbrook carried on. People shopping, living, unaware that one of their own had been buried alive by his own blood. "There's more," Thomas said quietly. He pulled out another folder. "Your will. They had it changed. Everything goes to Andrew immediately upon death." I never changed my will. Half was supposed to go to the children's hospital. Margaret knew that. Everyone at the office knew that. Which is why they've kept everyone away. "William, your employees think you died 2 months ago. They've been told the family needs privacy to grieve."
The family. My family. The word tasted like poison now. My phone buzzed. Victoria, finally returning my calls. I put it on speaker. "William, Her voice was different now, harder. "You've made your point. You embarrassed us. What do you want?" "What do I want?" I looked at Thomas, who was already recording. "I want to know why my son, who I gave everything to, decided I was worth more dead than alive." A pause. Then, "You were never going to give Andrew real control. You know that. He's 40 years old, and you still treat him like a child." "Because he acts like one." The words exploded from me. "I built that company while he was playing video games. I earned every brick, every contract, every dollar. And you never let him forget it." Her voice turned venomous. "Do you know what it's like, living in your shadow, watching you parade your success while Andrew struggles? He struggles because he's lazy, because every time he fails, I bail him out." "Not anymore." The line went dead. Thomas leaned back, his expression grim. "She just confessed to motive. That recording will help." But I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. Somewhere in Millbrook, my son was choosing his wife's ambition over his father's love. Somewhere, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike was signing papers to sell my legacy. If this story touches something deep inside you, if you've ever wondered how far family can fall, please don't just watch and leave. Hit that subscribe button. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Every single view, every single share helps us tell these important stories. Don't let William's pain be in vain. Show that you care. Subscribe now, before you forget, before you move on to something else. Because forgetting is how betrayals like this happen.
Sarah Matthews didn't look like someone who could destroy lives with a laptop and a press pass, but appearances, I'd learned, meant nothing. We met at Murphy's Diner, where the coffee was strong and the walls had ears. Exactly what I needed. Sarah's recorder sat between us like a loaded gun. "Mr. Bennett," she began, her green eyes sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses, "your story's already spreading. Half the town's talking about the funeral crash. But talk isn't justice." "What is?" I asked, stirring sugar into coffee I couldn't taste. "Truth. Published. Documented. Undeniable." She pulled out a folder. "I've been investigating Andrew's business dealings for months. Did you know he owes Marcus Findlay $50,000? Did you know Victoria's been meeting with Morrison Development since before your accident?" Before. The word hit like a physical blow. "You're saying they planned this?" Sarah's expression softened. "I'm saying the evidence suggests they were prepared for an opportunity. Your accident just accelerated things." She showed me photographs, Victoria at Morrison's office, dated 2 weeks before my accident. Andrew at the bank, signing loan documents against company assets. My signature on forms I'd never seen. "Your foreman, Marcus Washington, he refused to sign the sale papers," Sarah continued. "Andrew fired him last week, but Marcus kept copies of everything. He's willing to testify." Marcus. I'd hired him as a teenager, trained him myself. Loyalty like that was rare. Rarer than blood, apparently. "What do you need from me?" I asked. "Everything. Every document, every memory, every broken promise. We're going to write the article that ends this charade." She paused. "But William, once this publishes, there's no going back. Andrew and Victoria will be destroyed." I thought of Andrew at 5, scared of thunderstorms, crawling into our bed. I thought of teaching him to drive, his college graduation, his wedding day where I'd welcomed Victoria as the daughter I'd never had. "They destroyed themselves," I said finally. "I'm just documenting it." We worked through the afternoon. Sarah's questions pulling out details I'd forgotten or ignored. The time Andrew had borrowed company equipment for a personal project. Victoria's sudden interest in the books after becoming family. Small betrayals that led to this ultimate one. "One more thing," Sarah said as we finished. "Victoria posted on social media this morning." She showed me her phone. Victoria's Facebook post was a masterpiece of manipulation. Please pray for our family. William's miraculous survival should be a blessing, but his mind. The accident changed him. He's confused, making wild accusations. We're heartbroken, but committed to getting him the help he needs. Mental health after trauma is so important. Hashtag pray for William. Hashtag traumatic brain injury. 500 sympathetic comments. 1,000 shares. My reputation being murdered in real time. She's smart, Sarah admitted. Getting ahead of the story, painting you as unstable. Then we'd better be smarter. That night, I sat in my empty house. They'd taken their things while I was at the church, and compiled every document, every receipt, every email. The truth was a paper mountain, and I was ready to let it avalanche.
The Millbrook Gazette hit doorsteps at 6 a.m. By 6:30, my phone hadn't stopped ringing. Sarah's article was a masterpiece of investigative journalism. The headline alone was worth its weight in gold. Buried alive. Local business icon's family exposed an elaborate fraud scheme. She'd laid out everything: the forged death certificate, the altered will, Marcus's testimony about Andrew's threats, the pre-accident meetings with Morrison Development. But the killing blow was a photograph Sarah had obtained. Andrew and Victoria at the bank, signing papers to transfer my assets, dated 3 days after my accident. While I was fighting for my life, they were dividing the spoils. I stood outside Coffee and Chronicles, watching people read. Mrs. Patterson from the flower shop had tears in her eyes. Bob Martinez from the hardware store looked furious. The town was choosing sides, and for once, blood wasn't thicker than water. Mr. Bennett? I turned to find Detective Jeanette Coleman, whom I'd known since she was a rookie. Janet, I nodded. We need to talk. The article, it's prompted an investigation. Fraud, forgery, attempted theft. These are serious charges. They're also true. She studied me with those cop eyes that had seemed too much. Your son's at the station now. He's saying you're sick, confused, that the coma affected your mind. And Victoria? Lawyered up, smart woman. Calculating, I corrected. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. Marcus Washington. Boss, saw the paper. Andrew just called me. Offered me $100,000 to recant. I told him where to shove it. Some things ain't for sale. I showed Janet the text. Her expression hardened. Witness tampering. That's a new charge. She paused. William, I have to ask. Any part of you want to protect him? He's your son. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Searched for that paternal instinct that should make me want to shield Andrew from consequences. My son died the day he signed my death certificate, I said finally. I don't know who that man at the station is, but he's not family. Are you still watching? Or are you like Andrew, ready to abandon this story when it gets hard? If you've made it this far, you understand that family isn't just blood. It's loyalty, trust, love. Please subscribe to our channel right now. Share this story with someone who needs to remember what real family means. Don't be another person who watches and walks away. Show that you're different. Show that you care. The subscribe button is right there. Click it now, before William's pain becomes just another story you forgot. They came at midnight, like thieves they'd always been. I heard the key in the lock. Of course Andrew still had a key. And Victoria's sharp whisper, just get the documents and go. From the top of the stairs, I watched them creep through my foyer, shadows in the moonlight. My hand found the light switch. Looking for these? I held up the box of original company documents. Andrew jumped back, knocking into a lamp. Victoria stood frozen, her face a mask of calculated calm even in crisis. Dad, don't. The word cracked like a whip. You lost the right to call me that. William,
Victoria stepped forward, her voice honeyed poison. "We need to talk. The article, the police, this has gone too far." "You're right. It has." They exchanged glances, hope flickering. "Which is why I'm dissolving Andrew's trust fund, removing him from the will entirely, and ensuring neither of you see a penny of my money ever again." Andrew's face crumbled. "You can't! Mom set up that trust with my money, and she'd be disgusted by what you've become." I descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. "Your mother died believing you'd become a good man. Thank God she never saw this."
"You sanctimonious bastard!" Victoria's mask finally slipped. "You sit there in judgment, but where were you when Andrew needed a father? Building your precious company, making your fortune. You gave him money, not love." "I gave him both. I gave him everything," my voice echoed through the house. "Every baseball game missed was for his college fund. Every late night was for his future. And this is how he repays it?" Andrew sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. "I just wanted to matter. Just once, I wanted to be more than William Bennett's disappointing son. So you decided to be the son who killed his father instead?" The silence that followed was deafening. Victoria's heels clicked on the hardwood as she paced, thinking, calculating her next move. "The charges won't stick," she said finally. "We have lawyers, with my money. Andrew's money, community property. Not anymore." I pulled out my phone, showing them the emergency injunction Thomas had filed. "All assets frozen pending investigation. Your lawyers won't work for free, Victoria, and Morrison Development pulled out an hour ago. Seems they don't want to be associated with attempted murder." "It wasn't murder!" Andrew exploded, jumping to his feet. "You were in a coma. The doctors said you might never wake up. We were trying to save the company. By selling it for a third of its value? By getting something before the vultures took it all. You don't understand. I had debts, obligations, people who wouldn't wait." "Marcus Findlay? Oh yes, I know about him. Gambling debts, Andrew? Really?" Victoria grabbed her purse. "We're leaving." "Yes," I said quietly, "you are. And you're not coming back, either of you." Andrew looked at me, and for a moment I saw the boy again, lost, frightened, desperate for approval. But that boy had made his choices. "I loved you. Despite everything, I loved you." "No," I replied, my heart shattering with each word. "You loved what I could give you. There's a difference." They left without another word, the door closing with a finality that echoed through the empty house. I stood there, in the darkness, victorious and utterly alone.
6 weeks later, Bennett Industries hummed with new life. Marcus Washington stood in my office, blueprints spread across the desk. "The Riverside project's back on track, boss. The crew's motivated. They're just glad you're back." Through the window, Millbrook sprawled in summer glory. The town had rallied around me in ways I had never expected. Cassie's Cafe had named a sandwich after me, the Lazarus Special. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. "Mr. Bennett?" Margaret knocked, entering with a stack of contracts. "The Morrison meeting's in an hour." Morrison. They'd come crawling back, but now the terms were mine. I'd buy them, not the other way around. Andrew's betrayal had somehow made me stronger, hungrier. "Also," Margaret added softly, "this came for you." A letter. Andrew's handwriting. I stared at it for a long moment before opening it. Inside, his words were careful, measured. "Dad, Victoria left, took what she could and went to California. I'm in therapy now,
trying to understand how I became someone who could do what I did. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know I'm getting help. The gambling's done. The lying's done. I'm working construction now. Actually working, not managing. Starting over. I drove by the office yesterday. Saw the new sign, the expansion. You're thriving, and that's good. That's right. Mom would be ashamed of me, but maybe, someday, I can become someone she'd recognize again. I'm sorry. Those words aren't enough, but they're all I have. Andrew. I set the letter down, my hands steady. Margaret watched me carefully. Do you want to respond? No. I folded the letter, tucking it into my desk drawer. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. They shouldn't be. Sarah Matthews arrived for our weekly lunch, a tradition that had grown from our partnership. She'd won a journalism award for the article that exposed Andrew and Victoria. But more than that, she'd become a friend. You look good, she said, settling into the chair across from me. Happy, even. I'm rebuilding. The company, my life, it's enough. Is it? I considered the question. The betrayal still ached, probably always would. But I'd learned something valuable. Family isn't just blood. It's the employees who stood by me, the friends who believed me, the community who embraced me when my own son tried to bury me. It has to be, I said, finally. You've witnessed William's entire journey, the betrayal, the fighting back, the bittersweet victory. If this story moved you, if it made you think about your own relationships, your own values, then please don't let it end here. Subscribe to our channel. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that survival is possible, that betrayal doesn't have to be the end. Hit that like button if you believe William made the right choice. And comment below. Would you have forgiven Andrew? Your engagement keeps these stories alive, keeps us sharing these important messages. Don't be a stranger who watches and disappears. Be part of our family, the kind that doesn't betray. Subscribe now. The phone rang. Thomas Reed. William, thought you should know. Andrew just filed the paperwork. He's legally changing his last name to his mother's maiden name, severing the connection completely. I absorbed this final cut. Good. That's good. You sure? The Bennett name should stand for something. Integrity, loyalty. He can't offer either. After hanging up, I stood at the window, watching Millbrook settle into evening. Somewhere out there, Andrew was becoming someone else, someone new, maybe someone better, but not my son. That relationship had died in a hospital room while I fought for breath. Sarah knocked, entering with 2 cups of coffee. Long day? Long year. She joined me at the window. Any regrets? Not about Andrew. I meant it. He taught me something valuable. What's that? That love isn't enough if it's not paired with respect. That family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them most. We stood in comfortable silence, watching the lights of Millbrook twinkle to life. My empire was stronger than ever. My real family, the people who'd stood by me, was thriving. And Andrew? Andrew was someone else's story now. Come on, Sarah, said finally. The crew's waiting at Murphy's. Marcus is buying rounds to celebrate the ribbon cutting. I smiled, the expression feeling natural now. Let's go home. And we did. Not to the house where I raised a son who'd betray me, but to the place where my chosen family waited, where loyalty meant something, where love came with respect. The door to my office closed behind us, with a quiet click. Final. Certain. Right. William's story ends here, but yours continues.
You've just witnessed 8 chapters of betrayal, survival, and the true meaning of family. If any part of this story touched your heart, if you believe that William's journey deserves to be heard by others, then please don't just close this video and move on. Subscribe to our channel now. Share this story with someone who needs to know they can survive betrayal. Like this video if you believe William made the right choice. Comment your thoughts. Would you have forgiven Andrew? Remember, every story we tell is for people like you, people who understand that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that hurt the most. Don't let William's pain be forgotten. Join our family, the kind that doesn't abandon each other. Hit subscribe now and become part of something bigger than just another view. Because unlike Andrew, we believe in loyalty. We believe in showing up. We believe in you. Thank you for watching until the end. You're the family we choose.